You want to have an academic comeback so intense that your teachers actually think that you've started cheating in your exams. This is your no-nonsense guide to falling in love with studying. I am not going to sit here and give you a rigid study timetable. Say you must revise for X amount of hours per day. You must revise like this, like this, like this. This is exactly what you're going to do to fall in love with studying so much that you won't want to stop. This is how studying is going to become more addictive than social media, because that is what you really need for an academic comeback. I can't sit here and give you loads of motivation because that's going to fail at the end of the day. You're not going to be thinking about me when you're in that exam hall. However, you will be thinking about the concept I talked to you about today. So this is how you're going to become an academic weapon, but critically, how you're going to keep being an academic weapon moving forwards. The first thing for you to understand about falling in love with studying, getting into the habit of revising and studying outside of school, aka doing things that your teachers aren't telling you to do, is that you need to let go of this idea of time. So many people will come to me and they'll say, oh, is five hours of revision a day enough to get all 9s of my GCSEs? Yes, if you're doing the right things. No, if you're sat there scrolling on your phone for most of that. Stop getting bogged down in timings and start thinking about tasks. Use a to-do list and add SMART goals. What is a SMART goal, you may ask? A SMART goal, they usually teach this in the workplace, is specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time specific. So you have tasks on this to-do list. You're not saying, I'm going to revise maths for an hour. No, that's demotivating, because you will sit down at your desk and you will just think to yourself, what am I doing? What do I need to revise? I'm confused. I don't know what to do. And you're going to spend 45 minutes of that hour flailing around with no idea of what it is that you need to do or what would be effective to do. And that leads to procrastination, and that's not helpful at the end of the day. What you want to do is have a specific to-do list with these SMART goals. Say, I will revise vectors in maths. I will do 5 practice paper questions, and I will do them within 45 minutes because they're worth 45 marks. Perfect to-do list item. You can tick it off and you know that you have focused on a task that has been completed. You have focused on a task that has helped improve your grade because that is something that you were struggling with. And critically, you can take something off your to-do list. If you take revise maths for an hour off your to-do list when you really only revise for like 5 or 10 minutes because you spent 45 minutes figuring out what to do, that's not going to be very motivating. You're not going to reap the rewards of this revision. And if anything, it will lead you to procrastinate more in the future because your confidence will dip. If you feel like you haven't been doing effective revision, but you've been putting in the hours, then you're not going to see an increase in your grades. And if you don't see an increase in your grades, you're going to lose confidence, and that's going to cause you to procrastinate further. Stop that entire self-destructive cycle with a simple SMART goals to-do list. Trust me, taking specific things off your to-do list is the most rewarding feeling ever, because I know that I have done my econometrics problem set. It's done, it's finished. I'm not worrying about all of those things that I needed to do that I didn't do because I said that I would work for 1 hour. Romanticization. Do not click off this video just yet. What does this have to do with becoming an academic weapon, you may ask? Well, this is about long-term motivation and short-term motivation if we are being realistic. You need to stay motivated if you are going to achieve your goals. It's not enough to just watch a cute TikTok and think, oh, I'm going to be an academic weapon, because you're going to lose motivation after about 5 minutes. Because you need to remind yourself of what your goals are in the future if you are going to remain disciplined when you don't want to be. Let's say you really don't want to revise today. You want to go to play Xbox with your friends. I don't know what you like to do with your free time. But let's say that's something that you want to do right now, but you know you've got your maths test tomorrow. You need to revise. Where is that motivation in that point? Your motivation at that point is to turn on your Xbox and start playing FIFA or something. The discipline is what propels you forwards. What does romanticization have to do with this? Romanticize your long-term goals. What is it? Don't just say, oh, I want to be a doctor. What's your life going to look like when you're a doctor? Create a vision board. Go on Pinterest. Think about it. Motivate yourself with your dream life and understand that that is what you're working towards. Think, oh, well, when I achieve my big goals, I'm going to have this and this is what I'm working towards. Get very specific and romanticize that life that you are building for yourself. Romanticization also manifests itself in short-term rewards. Romanticize the studying experience. I mean, why not? Don't rely on that for motivation to keep going. Don't rely on, I must have a matcha latte. I must be sat in a cute coffee shop and I must have complete and utter silence every time I'm going to revise. It's not what I mean. What I do mean is that having those things, going to a cute cafe, getting yourself a little overpriced, they can keep you motivated in the short run. And at the end of the day, if it works, then why not treat yourself? I treat myself all of the time when I'm studying. I'm literally a princess when I'm revising for my exams. I'll get myself a little treat every day, whether it be a croissant, whether it be a bubble tea, whether it just be getting something for myself that I want. Light a candle in your space, make it all warm and cozy, have a warm drink, get like blankets, completely romanticize the whole experience to motivate yourself in the short run. And again, Pinterest. It can be kind of cute when you're scrolling through your dark academia Pinterest, you're thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to study like this. I am going to study like an ancient philosopher, like I'm studying in a library. Romanticize this for yourself. Why not at the end of the day? It does work for a lot of people. Do understand that you cannot rely on this short-term romanticization for long-term sustained motivation. So you need to find a balance. Probably one of my favorite things to do is to have 3 drinks. This is a theory, right? I have 3 drinks when I'm studying at all times. So I will always have water because hydration. I'll always have some sort of caffeinated drink, given it's before 4 p.m. because we are not drinking coffee into the night. This is usually coffee. Sometimes it's tea, sometimes it's an energy drink if I'm particularly tired. And then I will have a drink for fun. What is your fun drink? Mine is usually Coke Zero, and we're going to ignore the fact that that is caffeinated. Maybe you want to have a Lucozade, maybe you want a bubble tea, I don't know what drinks you like. Get yourself a drink for fun, 1 for energy, and then 1 for hydration. I remember they'll all hydrate you, so it's kind of double whammy. This will kind of keep you motivated. It's like, oh, I'm going to have this now, I'm going to have this now, without really distracting you. How distracted can you become by a bottle of Lucozade? Let's be realistic. Also creating study playlists for yourself. So what do I mean by this? I will have a study playlist for each one of my subjects, or at least I did when I was at school. Now I'm studying one subject at university. It's kind of more difficult. However, I would have like the Oppenheimer soundtrack when I was studying maths because it made me feel like a genius. I wasn't a genius. I was doing integration by parts. If I was doing economics or business studies, I would have something a bit more slow, like classical music. I got very, very into Chopin and all of the nocturnes. When I was studying, I would just listen to those primarily. But very much neoclassical music, which is a really fun genre, and it was my top genre on Spotify last year. Create playlists that kind of encapsulate the vibe of the subject that you're studying, which might sound weird, but once again, it's something fun that you can do that can motivate you in the short. And then finally, this is the most important thing that you need to do. You need to essentially deprive yourself of these short dopamine hits throughout the day. What do I mean by this? Scrolling on social media, watching YouTube. This is giving you short releases of dopamine, and that is the complete opposite of what you get when you study. When you study, you are working towards an end goal. You're working towards your big end goal of getting into this university or finishing your degree or getting this job or whatever it is. Yeah, sure, when you get your dream job, you're going to get this massive dopamine hit. You're also going to get a big dopamine hit when you have solved a maths problem that you have been grappling with and wrestling with for hours. Maybe not hours, but when something finally clicks, when you realize that you've understood something, when you feel accomplished, that is delayed gratification, and that is dopamine that hits you later on in the day, and something that you have to work for. The beauty of this is that this huge spike in dopamine actually lasts longer. These little hits of dopamine you get from scrolling through Reels or TikTok, these are going to die out very quickly. They're not only small, but they're dying out very fast. So how do you do this? Just don't go on social media when you wake up. I know that you want to, but just don't do it. I find this particularly difficult because, well, I like scrolling on social media, And I'm also a content creator, so I'm like, oh, how's my video done from yesterday? I had to ban myself because at the end of the day, that will give you a dopamine hit. I will ban myself from social media in the mornings. I have app blockers on my phone, block social media throughout the day up until like 4 or 5 p.m. when I will allow myself a little bit of scrolling time. You need to get your kicks and your happiness from achieving your short-term goals. When I mentioned about this to-do list, ticking things off, that is the perfect example. I will get a little dopamine hit when I think, yeah, I did learn about circle theorems today. Yeah, I did do my trade flashcards when I really didn't want to. Like, I really don't want to revise for that right now, but I need to do it if I want to achieve my long-term goals of getting this grade in my degree. And that is where your dopamine is coming from throughout the day. So dopamine detox, that's the concept of a dopamine detox. And then dopamine loading is this idea that you delay all of your short-term gratification towards the end. Let's say you do want to play video games. Do it at the end of the day and make that your reward for studying. You are rewarding yourself, and this feeds back into the romanticization part. Your reward then is doing that thing that you really want to do, that thing you really want to do throughout the day, that you were essentially depriving yourself of because, well, you have things to do. If you do it this way round, it becomes a lot easier to get into the rhythm of studying because you haven't conditioned your brain on that day to rely on these short hits of dopamine. When this obviously isn't exactly how the neuroscience works. However, when you wake up, imagine your brain is a fresh palette. It's impressionable. And if you just bombard it with short form content to condition it to wanting that, instant gratification throughout the day. Whereas if you deprive yourself of that and you condition your brain on that day to want to revise and want to do your work and think, oh yeah, I can go play my games at the end of the day, I can go watch this episode at the end of the day, then you will be motivated. If you flip it on its head, you're going to find it very difficult to transition into studying. If you implement these rules, then there is no doubt in my mind that you will become an academic weapon, the academic weapon that you always wanted to be. And this hasn't even touched on anything to do with study strategies. However, I have plenty of videos on that, so there should be a link up here right now. And this is a video where I explain all of the different active recall strategies that you could ever possibly need in 1 minute, so it's not exactly going to take very long. But if you did like this video and you found it helpful, let me know in the comments if you do try out any of these strategies. If you want to become a better student this year, then be sure to like and subscribe because I am posting my top study tips and tricks every single day until your exams. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.